The housing market is a complicated beast, with many factors contributing to its ups and downs. One of the most important drivers of home prices is demand. So why is there so much demand for housing now? A big payoff from low mortgage rates. Low mortgage rates are great for buyers. You could get a 30-year fixed loan with a 4% interest rate, or less, even if your credit is below average, and you don't have 20% to put down on a home purchase. That's because there are so many people competing to buy homes that lenders need to do everything they can to attract more customers, including offering lower down payment requirements and lower interest rates. Low mortgage rates are also great for sellers. They help you sell your home faster at more money than it would otherwise command in the market, especially if you're willing to consider selling your home as is without making repairs first, which often happens when homeowners are under pressure. And if those low mortgage rates make it possible for someone else in town who wants their own dream house, well then congratulations, you just got paid twice. Low mortgage rates benefit builders as well. In fact, this may be one of the reasons why builders are now building so many new properties, instead of keeping prices down by renovating existing ones like they use too much. Home prices are still increasing. Rising home prices can be a good thing, especially if you already own property. Rising home prices mean that your investment is increasing in value, which means that you'll have more money to spend on things you want. This may not seem like much of a bonus for those who don't own homes yet, but it's still worth talking about in terms of trends. If we look at how the housing market has changed over time, we find some interesting patterns. Home values have been rising steadily since the 1980s and peaked just before the 2008 recession hit. They fell during this period but began to rise again in 2012 and continued their upward trajectory until 2016 when they started to plateau at around $300 per house, one sold every 10 seconds. These numbers only reflect single-family houses, condos, and other types of dwellings are excluded from these statistics because they're less valuable than single-family homes by definition. Renting is becoming more expensive too. Renting an apartment now costs $1 per month, whereas back in 2000 it cost only $600 per month on average across all cities worldwide, according to data gathered by Numbio's Housing Index, which calculates average rents based on user-inputted data such as location type. Many can't afford to buy a house. The housing market is out of control because many people can't afford to buy a house. Many Americans have been priced out of the housing market, which means they can't afford to buy a house. This problem specifically affects young adults and families who used to be able to afford homes but now can't because of rising prices in some areas. Now that you've watched this video this far, subscribe and leave a comment saying I subscribed. And I will personally reply to your comment. Now back to the video. The pandemic has made housing scarce. The pandemic has made it so that people are afraid to go out, which has made housing even more scarce. People are afraid to travel because they don't want to risk contracting the pandemic or bringing it home with them. This means fewer people will move for jobs or other reasons, and there will be less turnover in houses as renters move on and owners sell their properties. In addition, many cities have imposed travel bans and/or quarantines after a person was diagnosed with the pandemic in their city or state, and these restrictions may continue indefinitely. People are also afraid to visit friends and family members at home who might have been exposed or might become infected. They don't want the infection spreading through social circles either by direct contact or through shared household items like dishes and silverware. The same goes for traveling out of state. If you're not sure whether your destination is infected yet, why risk going there? If someone gets sick while visiting another state or country where they're not infected yet, then they could bring back an unknown virus that spreads quickly throughout your own community once they return home. It's better not to risk exposure just because you want some time away from work or school environments too. Inventory is down. There are several factors that have contributed to the decrease in inventory. First, a lack of new homes for sale has caused many homeowners to skip selling their homes and stay put. A lot of these people may have been considering retirement or downsizing, but with no interest from buyers, they're staying put. This can be attributed to some owners' unwillingness to deal with renovations necessary after years of living in their home, and others might simply not want to leave. Second, foreclosed properties that would normally become available aren't making their way into the market as quickly as expected, because lenders won't sell them until they have conducted title searches and other due diligence on each property. This delay means fewer homes are getting listed and sold, making it harder for buyers looking for something new. New home development isn't progressing quickly. The housing market is so out of control because new residential development isn't progressing quickly enough. The supply of new homes is low because it's expensive to build them, and land available for development has become scarce, which in turn affects labor costs. There aren't enough workers, and the cost of materials, they're more expensive. These factors all contribute to higher home prices for new houses built in most parts of the country. Meanwhile, demand for these houses remains high due to low mortgage rates that have made buying new homes affordable again after an extended period when they weren't. Demographic trends are driving demand. There are a few factors that directly influence the demand for housing and contribute to rising prices. Baby boomers are retiring and moving out of their homes. As older generations move, they need to be replaced with new families. According to a U.S. Census Bureau report, the number of households headed by someone 65 or older is expected to grow at a faster rate than any other age group through 2035. Millennials are getting married and having children later in life than previous generations did, which means they're waiting longer to purchase homes. This delay has led many millennials into urban areas where it's harder for them to find affordable housing options, driving demand up even more. Conclusion: the housing market is complex, as you can see, but it's also an interesting topic to dive into if you're interested in learning how economics and demographic trends affect the economy. We hope this video has given you some insights into what's going on and why it may get even more out of control in the future.